I've been a small space container vegetable gardener for 7 years now. And over that time, I've tried a lot of different vegetables here in my small space container garden in zone 6B. And in the last 4 years, there's one vegetable that has really stood out to me as one that I continue to grow and absolutely love every year. And that is Swiss chard. If you're not familiar with Swiss chard, it is a leafy green, and there are three reasons that I really love growing this in my container garden. The first reason is that Swiss chard can survive in a variety of climates. Here in the Midwest, we get the low lows and the high highs throughout the growing season. And every spring, I plant my leafy greens, and then around late May, early June, they all bolt. And so the first year that I grew Swiss chard, I expected something similar. But to my surprise, as it got warmer, my Swiss chard never bolted. It just kept growing. Now, it did grow better in the cool weather than it did in the heat of summer, but it still grew and it still looked great. And I was able to harvest from it throughout all the seasons in the spring, summer, and fall. The second reason I really love Swiss chard is that I found that it's pretty shade tolerant. So here in the Midtown area where I live, we have a lot of beautiful old trees. And while that's great in the heat of the summer, as a vegetable gardener, that poses a lot of challenges. And especially here in my backyard, where the majority of my containers are, there's a lot of shade. And so throughout the years, I've experimented with different vegetables to see what would grow where. And even my spinach and my lettuces, which typically do pretty good in shade, they would struggle in certain parts of my garden. And so after the first couple of years of growing Swiss chard and being pretty impressed with it, I thought, let's try it in the shade and see what happens. And sure enough, it grew just fine. Similar to temperature, it's going to grow better in the sun, or at least partial sun, but it did grow in the shade. And that was great because there's truly nothing else that I can grow in that area in terms of vegetable plants that's going to do well. So that was another reason why I was impressed with Swiss chard. And then my final reason for why I really love growing this vegetable is that it is so versatile in the kitchen. Now, if you're not familiar with Swiss chard, and I wasn't before I started growing it, it's just a leafy green. And so I treat it just like I would a spinach. I put it in soups and stews. I use it in salads and smoothies and omelets. Really, you can use it in anything that you would use like a spinach. It's very mild flavors, and some of the leaves will get pretty big. So you could even do like a lettuce wrap situation. But I just have found so many uses for this in the kitchen. And so having it throughout the whole season is perfect because I'm just continually finding ways to use it. So those are my three reasons why I love Swiss chard. If you've never grown this before in your garden, I highly recommend it. Give it a try this year.